Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3 Wide TV's tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports podcast series. It is the season finale from the Homestead Miami Speedway. 4 drivers competing for the championship here tonight. I'm Peter Short, and alongside me is Andre Graham Bush. And Andre, it is going to be a lot of fun as we run to the championship finale. Adam Newton, Chris Pendle, TJ Elaine, and Tom Lester, the 4 drivers duking it out for the title tonight.
Yeah, they picked a pretty good venue for it back at Homestead, which for the longest time held the championship race and the final race of the year before recently changing in real life over to Phoenix Motor Speedway, which is kind of a controversial change, but I know that most NASCAR fans and drivers alike can agree that this track right here, Homestead Miami, one of the better intermediates on the schedule. You got multi-groove racing, you've got off-throttle time, you've got tire wear. What more could a race fan want? Well, maybe just add a potential championship into the mix, and you got that little cherry on top. Practice has about 1:30 left, and then we'll be heading down into the official events of the night. Newton currently the fastest in practice. Again, one of the championship 4 drivers. He's got Philip Scott just 200ths of a second behind him. TJ Elaine and Pendle, 2 other championship drivers, with Lester as well. Rounding out our championship drivers all inside the top 5. Then you got Miller, Ratcliffe, Shue, Lashinsky, and Casterline. You can see as we ride on board with that 48 just how wide this track can be and the different lines you can choose, but should be something.
TJ Elaine says it's been 238 days since his last league win. We'll see if he can break that here tonight. Currently 3rd on the charts. He's one of our championship 4. And Christopher Pendle, you can see that car down there, bottom left-hand corner of your screen, running the white AutoZone number 94 here tonight. We'll keep our eyes on him. But 4 of our championship drivers are in the top 5. Only Philip Scott currently playing spoiler amongst those. Philip out there on the racetrack right now, going to the high side of Tom Lester as they go off into turn number 3 and 4. There is the number 99 World Ninja League Ford Mustang. He's going to try maybe, I thought he was going to practice getting on pit road there with that lineup off the corner. Maybe just wanted to straighten off that exit rather to try and get some speed out of this thing. But you got a good look here in the middle of the corner, Andre, that this racetrack is quite wide. It has variable banking, and like you said, that puts on a great show for everyone. Multiple grooves of racing that we'll see in the mix here tonight as the checkered flag is thrown here on the practice session.
These cars going to get woed up and down into qualifying for the night. Should be a good time here at Homestead. The 95 getting the last little second of practice he can here at the intermediate. And away we go. You can see the infield road course, which does exist, I believe, as a layout here on iRacing. A little bit interesting to see there. But qualifying 5 minutes on the clock. These drivers probably not going to waste much time getting down onto the track. They don't really have a whole lot to lose. 10 cars in the field. So if you turn a lap, worst you can do is a top 10. And if you get a good lap, you're starting out front, which never hurts. So being under the lights already, we're going to be seeing really not a whole lot of fluctuation in track temperature or anything of the sort. So not a whole lot of strategy to it. Just go out, turn as fast a lap as you can. TJ Lane in that 51 machine, sporting a different paint scheme, I believe, this week. A little bit of neon yellow, a little bit of purple, looking good. And he's going to be seeing where he's going to start for his championship hopeful race.
Rolling up onto the race circuit, got a little bit of a carbon fiber look on that car too. Of course, I don't know, the pink and purple there on the side gives me, he's in the wall. That's not good. You can see he's in the wall there. He's going to have to kind of back that down and reset the car because that's not going to be very good for TJ Elaine. But I was just about to say, it is Halloween week. Halloween, of course, in less than 7 days. So hopefully we don't see any spookies out there on the racetrack here tonight. Here's the Wawa number 3 of Jason Shue coming to the line to start his qualifying lap time. Steven Lashinsky is jumping to the top of the board. Andre, we've seen some good qualifying laps out of Lashinsky this year in that Monster Jam number 9. It seems like it's been a little bit of hit and miss, but when he has been on it, he has been a contender in several races. We'll see if this racetrack lends itself to Lashinsky here tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, beyond qualifying laps, we've seen some really good runs out of this number 9. It seems like just in the last few weeks, something clicked. I don't know if he's just getting better setups, if he's starting to figure out this Xfinity car a little bit better. But that Monster Jam machine has been a solid top 5 contender. And that's one of the fun parts, I think, about following a league like this, is just watching the drivers, seeing who progresses, who improves. And Lashinsky, I mean, he was never bad, but he certainly improved throughout the year. And that's always good to see. Newton sitting on pole in that number 4. It's going to be a 33.1. And with Tom Lester going to be a little bit behind him with a 5.8. And by a little bit, I mean quite a bit. That is a stark difference. We'll see if that improves at all or if that was his final lap. Lashinsky, Ratcliffe, Shue, Casterline, Miller, and notably the 99, who we expect to be pretty quick tonight, has not turned a lap time. Maybe just trying to start towards the back in order to avoid interfering too much with the championship drivers. And that is, I believe, the number 18 on track. The 13 on track. Do we have a 13?
we don't have a number 13, but that is Thad Miller in the number 81, sporting the, I don't know, is it the lucky number 13 or the unlucky number 13? But definitely, I've not seen the number 13 ever really do well in racing, but Thad Miller, number 81 on the scoring pylon, a little bit of a different scheme and a different number on the card than what's on the pylon here tonight. But here comes Philip Scott coming out of turn number 4, currently second on the board. Can he pick it up on lap number 2? He does. In fact, he had just been dethroned from that spot by Christopher Pendle in the number 94. There is Pendle in the auto zone for, looks like he's off the pace. But Philip was able to jump himself back up into second with that little bit of a last hurrah, but not enough for the provisional pole. Of course, the Harpoon Design Pole Award. Big shout out to Harpoon Design. They sponsored last week's race as well. And the harpoondesign.com 200 at Twin Ring Motegi. But that wasn't at Twin Ring Motegi. I'm getting my leagues mixed up, but they sponsored that race last week at Kansas. But I'll tell you what, Andre, Adam Newton in that number 4, he had 4 wins out of the gate, like 4 wins in the first 5 races, something like that. It has been now about 6 races since we last saw him in victory lane. Could this be the night that we see Adam Newton back on top? That would be enough for him to win the championship.
That it would, and it has been a while. So, he's definitely trying to get back on top, and this would be the perfect time to do it if you were ever going to get back on that top step of the podium, take the win, take the championship, and drive off into the proverbial sunset here. And it looks like he will do it. We do have 10 cars in the field, although one of them not posting a time. So it should be, with only 4 seconds left, he will have the official pole, just 0.04 of a second above Philip Scott. Chris Pendle going to be 3rd, Tom Lester 4th. And it's going to be quite the battle here. TJ Elaine, a hopeful of the championship, does not post a time after his little bit of a, we'll call it a bobble, trying to get out initially. I'm not sure why he didn't come back out on track, but nonetheless, shouldn't be too much of a task for him if he's got the speed that he had in practice to get up through some of the traffic. We're going to be heading down to gridding as qualifying has finished up, and there is some cars down on pit road. Let's see if we can't pull up the starting lineup.
Yeah, and starting on the harpoondesign.com poll, it is Adam Newton, Philip Scott alongside playing spoiler, as he is not one of our championship 4 contenders tonight. Christopher Pendle and Tom Lester on row number 2, 2 championship contenders there. Thad Miller, Stephen Lashinsky make up row number 3 and 5th and 6th respectively. William Ratcliffe will be rolling off from the inside of row 4. Jason Shue in 8th. Jimbo Casterline in 9th. And perhaps surprisingly, one of our championship contenders, TJ Elaine, will be starting shotgun on the field here for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast 200 at the Homestead Miami, the season finale here. We want to thank all of you for joining us at home. We want to give a shout out to Jacob Williams in the chat, saying shout out to the number 52. Good luck tonight, bud. I'm not seeing a number 52 in the field, but Jacob, thanks for tuning in to 3 Wide TV here tonight. Let us know who you're rooting on in the chat by name. As the pace car lights have turned off, let's bring up the race information and give a little bit of a look of the track for everyone. There it is. Nice oval. Of course, it's been in the NASCAR schedule since the late 90s. It was reconfigured in 2003 or 4, if I recall. It's been a while, and I've slept since then. But this racetrack puts on some great racing, and it's a beautiful night for it here. Pace car going to roll onto pit road for the final time this season. Andre, let's go racing here at Homestead.
And it is going to be underway, 135 laps of racing here in Miami. And it looks like Philip Scott's going to get a good jump on the outside. We'll see if he can maintain that momentum through the corner. Adam Newton in the number 4 going to rocket around the low side. Look at this, Chris Pendle, the 94, going way up to the wall, taking the Larson line if he can, and going to gain a position out of it, closing in a little bit on Philip Scott. But we're going to go single file down into 3 and 4. No more stress for Newton, at least not too wide stress, but stress of a championship indeed. Out of 4, we're going to complete the first lap of the event, and it looks like Philip Scott's going to get a good run out of the corner. Not quite enough.
Yeah, it looks like Adam Newton comes around to lead lap number 1. But let's talk about tonight's race, because this is a little bit of a unique one. There's no stage caution tonight. It is straight up 135 laps here. Unlike any other race that we have seen so far this season, Andre, when we've had kind of a stage caution come out around the 1/4 race distance. But here tonight, it's straight up 135 laps. How do you think that's going to play into these drivers' strategies as they play this one out?
Yeah, it's definitely going to affect how they run this race. You know, like you said, they've always had the stage throughout the entire season to kind of look forward to and build their strategy around. But there's a very real possibility we go green all the way to the end here. So, of course, anytime you have long runs, that's going to make conservation important, just as we saw last week. And it also kind of opens up the pit strategy a little bit, taking the undercut, trying to opt in for a little bit of track position in return for giving up that position later on once the equipment starts to wear. So it'll be fun to see what everybody wants to do. I think Adam Newton, you know, if he wants to get this championship, he can't just do it on speed alone. He's going to have to do it with a bit of smart thinking, quick thinking in the pits as well. Not to say he's not fast. It's just you got a lot of good competition behind him. Sometimes you got to get that extra edge.
Yeah, sometimes you do just have to get that little bit extra out of it. But currently, Adam Newton out front and getting that clean air on the nose. I think it's going to be important here tonight. This racetrack does lend itself to having clean air on the nose be the big advantage. I've also lost a championship race here at this very racetrack before with not enough rear brake bias. This track, for whatever reason, loves rear brake bias, and you kind of have to dial it back as much as you can to try and save tires. At least that's the way it was about 5 years ago on iRacing. Of course, iRacing tire model continues to change, and I'm not going to use the word evolve, Andre. As much as iRacing wants it to evolve, it seems like it's sometimes one step forward, 2 steps back. But that's at least the way it was, and I think these drivers will be playing with the one thing that they can adjust, and that is brake bias here tonight. But right now, Philip Scott still holding on to second. Christopher Pendle still in third. Back behind him, there's a battle for position between Steve Leshinsky. We were talking about him there in qualifying. Now he's put together some pretty solid runs. Well, he's about to make the pass here in one of our championship contenders, the number 48 of Tom Lester. If he can hold off, he's got a pretty good run on that high line. It seems like he's one of the few venturing all the way up to the wall, and I think he's going to have enough here to complete that pass.
Yeah, I think he is indeed going to take that position, so put Leshinsky up one more on the board. We'll see if he can continue to run that high line, and behind him, looks like TJ Lane in the 51 going to try to run the high line as well. Maybe not quite as against the wall as the number 9, but still running the top, trying to get some good momentum built up, try to get around that 48 of Tom Lester. And speaking of the 48, look how much he's closing in, sending it pretty deep on the bottom, but again, the run going to come on the straightaway here for him. Battle for second. The 94 gets a good run out of turn 2. He's going to carry that slingshot all the way through into 3 and 4. Looks like he will get clear by the time they get out of the corner. That's going to force Philip Scott all the way down to the bottom. He's going to be fast in the middle of the corner, but right here on the straightaway, you can see that's the pitfall of running the low side. And now it looks like Tom Lester going to go down one more position to another championship contender. TJ Elaine going to get around him on the high side. And look at these boys. Look at the 51 of Elaine and the 9 of Lashinsky. These boys ripping the lip up there, Tater Chip.
Yeah, one thing that's at least a little bit surprising to me is that high line is looking really strong right now. We've seen Elaine make a pass up there. We've seen Lashinsky make a pass on that high line. Now it looks like Elaine going to try and make another pass on that high line as he's looking to the high side of Lashinsky now. And they're side by side to the line. Elaine pulls ahead just a little bit at the stripe. He's going to charge it off into turn number 1. Get back in the throttle. There used to be a big bump up there on that high line here at this racetrack. I wonder if iRacing's kind of mellowed that out, because that high line in 1 and 2 was very difficult to run way back when, but Elaine makes it look easy here. He has moved up into 4th. That's very impressive all the way from the tail end of the field. Finds himself just 2.6 seconds behind the race lead as we're working lap number 11. No caution flags so far. We have been clean and green from the start of tonight's event here in the Stay Tuned Sports Series. This is Elaine. It's making me a little bit nervous. It seems like that high line might push just a little bit up through the corner there, Andre, but the number 51 is keeping it nice and clean, unlike he was able to do in qualifying.
Yeah, and, he's probably kicking himself, wishing he did qualify a little bit better, because he's one of the fastest cars on the track. He's made a lot of passes that he maybe wouldn't have had to make if he had had a little bit of a better qualifying effort. We do have a replay dialed up. Something happened a little bit further back. I did notice Thad Miller was in the pits. This is the why of the situation. A little bit off pace down low. Coming down pit road, seemingly opting in. And he's going to take a tow, I would presume. So maybe just realized the car was not where he wanted it to be and had enough for the night.
Yeah, maybe a good old starting park for the driver of the number 81, Thad Miller, who definitely showed improvement throughout the season, Andre, and had a couple of real standout events throughout the year. I think once Thad gets a little bit more track time, a little bit more race time. Oh, there's the problem with running that high line, Andre. That outside wall came out and grabbed TJ Elaine there going off into turn number 3.
And it will grab you. Sometimes it'll feel like super glue. You get up on that wall. I said the same thing at Kansas, but you get into that wall at the wrong angle and it will just pull you in and not let you go. We'll go on board, take a look at exactly what happened here. I think he just kind of got in on corner entry a little bit, trying to arc the corner as much as he can. And just like real life, Dale Jr. was saying, you have to enter the corner just as high as you run it in the middle. You don't want to enter down low and slide up. So TJ Lane tried to enter the corner high and just misjudged it a little bit. Again, it's kind of hard to see out the right side of these cars. We sit on the left, can't really turn our heads that much. So, you'll have it where somebody arcs the corner maybe a little bit too much for the best interest, as we're kind of struggling to dial up the incident.
Yeah, I think I went back like a full lap by accident. So I'm just trying to get a good look at this one here. Let's see if it was this lap. Here we go, going down the backstretch. Right behind Philip Scott, and just kind of scrubs up against it. You can see where those black tire marks are there in the center of the corner, and unfortunately, that is definitely showing a little bit of right side damage. Andre, do remember that they do have one fast repair here in the Stay Tuned Sports podcast series, so TJ Lane will be able to use that when he comes down pit road if that damage is hindering the car significantly. We don't know if it is yet. He has lost a little bit of time to our race leader, Adam Newton, who has now legged it out by about a second on Christopher Pendle. Philip Scott now 3 seconds back. And Elaine starting to knock on the door of that number 99 machine. So maybe not terrible for that number 51, but still plenty of racing left to go here tonight. Still over 100 laps. It is just over 200 miles by count here tonight. There is Jimbo Casterline, number 18, running down in the 9th position. He does have a little bit of a battle for track position in front of him. That is the 7th placed Jason Shue with the number 95 of Will Ratcliffe. Those two drivers about 11 seconds behind the race lead, but locked in their own battle. You and I know, Andre, that every spot matters, especially in the final race of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of these guys, too, if they're not eligible for the championship, they're here for fun. And, you know, if you're going to have fun on track, generally that comes from battling with other cars, racing with the competitors, and just, you know, having fun through the competition. So they're going to fight, they're going to battle. It doesn't matter if it's for first or last. I mean, they're going to be going at it now. This move right here, the 51, gaining so much momentum on the high side. It's a risky line. We saw why just a couple laps ago, but he is closing in on that 99, seems to be running a little bit quicker. Not necessarily gaining on our race leader. He is continuing to pull away. Adam Newton, fastest car on the track at the moment, but nonetheless, working up towards a podium. And if we do get a caution of any sort, he's going to be restarting a lot closer in track position to our leader and a lot closer to a potential championship than the initial start of the race. But as he continues to close in and make this move, he takes the top. The 99 takes the bottom, and again, it's so fast through the center of the corner, you can really roll the middle here. When they get to the straightaway, you're going to see that 51 just a few extra mile an hour, although that time not getting the exit he would have hoped for, so that's going to cost him some time. He's going to try it again here in turn 1, right up against the wall. Tom Lester not far behind, lurking at the bottom of the frame as well, so keep that 48 in mind. Now down the back straightaway, I think the 51 got a slightly better run this time than before. Camera angles can be deceiving, though, sometimes. Into the corner, up on the wall again. This could be good. He's right up on the wall. Big momentum. I thought for sure he was going to scrape that wall, Peter, but he kept it out of it.
Yeah, Elaine, he's flirting with it. He's running that high line. You have to be pretty much inch perfect when you run that high line. Otherwise, you'll end up in the wall. But now he's finally got that run, I think, to draw level with Philip Scott, and will complete the pass easily off into turn number 3. Avoids the wall this time. So TJ Lane onto the podium, and 3 of the top 4 battling for the championship. Currently running 1, 2, 3. Dom Lester might make it our championship 4 as our top 4 if he can close in on Philip Scott in the number 99 just in front of him. Philip, you know, usually he's a driver that starts to make a charge later on in the run, but at least for right now, seems like Philip struggling just a little bit with the handling of his Ford Mustang. There's still plenty of this run left to go. It's just kind of look to see, Andre, what the kind of the fuel percentage is tonight. I think they're running at 75% fuel load. So probably expect to see them on pit road maybe sometime around lap number, if I was to guess, maybe around lap number 35 to 40, which could make it maybe a little interesting. If they could make it to lap number 45, that would put them on a 2-stop strategy. We'll keep our eyes on just how far they can push it in this run, because who knows? We've seen some fuel strategy and some fuel mileage races here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast series over the last couple of months.
Yeah, we definitely have. And one thing I'm kind of keeping my mind on right now as well is that, you know, Philip Scott being so dedicated to the low line, the way that the tire wear on iRacing tends to work, because it's not one-to-one realistic, not all the time. If you take the low line around the track, you're taking the shorter way around the track, and iRacing says, yep, you drove less distance, so you have less tire wear. Even if you're cranking on the wheel more and you're realistically heating those tires up more, causing more friction, the game just says, nope, less distance, less wear. And TJ Lane, he's been taking about the longest way around the track you can take, right up against the wall, and that's going to continue to work for a while here, but I got to wonder if he's not cooking those tires a little bit quicker than somebody like Philip Scott or Tom Lester, who had been running a little bit lower on the track. We'll have to wait and see. But as they go single file, and it's going to be a 3.5 second advantage for our race leader, and we are, I'd say, about 10 laps or so away from a green flag pit sequence. How about we take in the sights and sounds of the nightlife here at Miami, where they bring the noise.
riding on board with Christopher Pendle in the number 94 machine right now as he works his way through turns number 1 and 2 here on lap number 29 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. TJ Elaine has now caught Pendle for the battle for second. So Elaine, Andre, who started shotgun on the field, up into third here as we work lap number 29. Tom Lester in fourth, Philip Scott in fifth, then about a second and a half or so back to Stephen Lashinsky. And then from Lashinsky back to Ratcliffe, it's 10 seconds, but Ratcliffe did finally clear Jason Shue to make the pass for the 7th spot just a lap or two ago. Let's see if we can get the 3-wide TV replay out to see exactly how that pass happened. Jason there in the number 3 just washed up the racetrack. Just seemed like there was no real grip on his Toyota Supra, and Ratcliffe took advantage and was able to clear him there down the backstretch.
You know, the Toyota Supra, kind of an iconic drift car, although maybe don't want to be drifting here at the high banks of Miami, so yeah, good thing they were able to get that gathered up and get going in the right direction. But one thing about not having this stage, especially with the size of the field and the kind of unlikelihood of cautions, this is not good news for the rest of the field. This advantage that Adam Newton is building up, there's really no way to take this from him other than to run him down organically. If he gets much further ahead, it's going to be one of those things where even a little bit of a better strategy or a better pit road entry and exit is going to make it tough to catch up. So they can't let him get too far ahead at this point. They need to start putting the pedal to the metal because Adam Newton, he's got a rocket ship, as Clint Boyer would say 3,000 times per broadcast. He's got a rocket ship, and he is setting sail for the time being. Again, we wondered when he would get to victory lane again, and, well, if he keeps this up, it could be tonight.
Yeah, very well could be. I just wonder if he's been eating his Wheaties and practicing a lot this week, because a 5-second lead on lap number 33 is, well, mighty impressive, as Pendle's still able to hold on to second. Meanwhile, back behind him, look at TJ Lane on the high line. Tom Lester a little bit lower on the racetrack, and Andre Lester maybe showing a little bit of a resurgence here late in this run. Started this race in 4th, fell back a spot or two, back up to 4th, and has really run down Pendle and Elaine, running that lower end of the racetrack. And just wonder if, like you had been mentioning, that the tire wear might be starting to fall towards Lester's way, his advantage here, as we are now working towards lap number 34. Lap number 45, like we had mentioned, is the magic number here tonight. If you can make it to lap number 45, you can make it on just a 2-stop race, and that would be pretty beneficial, I think, with how difficult and how long this pit road is to kind of get onto. So we'll see if these drivers can make it to lap number 45. Of course, no stage caution. We've been clean and green for the opening 35 laps here on 3-Wide TV for the season finale. If you're just now joining us, the 4 championship drivers, well, they're the top 4 right now. Newton, Pendle, Lester, Elaine, all duking it out to see who will walk away with the Stay Tuned Sports Championship. But look at Pendle there, Andre. Got a little bit loose coming out of turn number 2 that time.
Yeah, got a little bit squirrely, and the 51 got a little tight there as well. Looks like the 48 is going to be able to maybe complete this pass in turns 1 and 2. I don't know if he's going to have the momentum here, but I think the tire wear is starting to come into play. That's why the 51's getting a little bit tighter, having a little bit of a tough time carrying that momentum. You see the 48 driving it in so deep. He's able to get right up to the quarter panel. He's actually bringing Philip Scott with him as well. So 51's got his hands full right now, and that's allowing Pendle to breathe for the moment. The pack has caught his competition. They're currently working him over, so he doesn't have to think about it. And loose a little bit, the 48, having to get a bit of a lift there to avoid staying out of the 51. And loose again for the 51 to get sideways into the wall, and that's going to do it for 3rd place. Puts Tom Lester up onto the podium, and now he may bleed another position as Philip Scott looks to the bottom.
Yeah, Philip, we highlighted the fact that he usually is really strong late in the run. Just moved up into 4th again with passing TJ Elaine, you just have to wonder if maybe Elaine used up a lot of tire in his charge from 10th up to 3rd. Oh, here comes Elaine on pit road. This is maybe a little bit early, so first of our leaders to kind of choose the 3-stop strategy. Not going to make it to lap number 45, so Andre, I think this, we'll see if this brings the other leaders on pit road, but definitely short of the 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, short by a good margin, about 7 laps. Now, they do have 75% fuel capacity tonight, I believe, and I think generally here at Homestead, the Xfinity cars with a full tank would go somewhere in the vicinity of 60 to 63 laps, so reducing that substantially, you're going to wind up, 45 would be tough. For anybody to make it to 45, you'd have to do some extreme hypermiling. And so far, I mean, especially Adam Newton, I don't think these guys are doing that, so they may just plan on that 3-stop strategy. But the way that it's spaced, Peter, it's kind of interesting because they're going to just miss out on the 2-stop strategy. So really one of their stops towards the end of the race may just be a splash and go, which could get pretty dicey.
Yeah, it definitely could get a little bit dicey, but we have seen these drivers be very, very diligent about fuel saving this year when it is necessary. So we'll see just how it all shakes out as they work lap number 40. Because, yeah, math. You have to do it, even at 160 miles an hour. It's always ongoing in these drivers' heads. I remember when really iRacing didn't even have... we have a possible issue on the front stretch. This could bring out a caution. It looks like the 95 going to stay off the racing surface. Will Ratcliffe had just pitted a lap or two ago. He pitted, I think, on lap number 35. And let's see what... got on the apron a little bit. And, hit one of those big bump sets down there. Not sure what that was, Andre, whether he was trying to come back down pit road or maybe he was just trying to get around the slower car there that was Jimbo Casterline in the number 18 and clipped the apron. But did a pretty good job of at least keeping it off the wall.
Yeah, he avoided getting any damage, kept it down on the apron, and no caution ensued from it, but unfortunate setback there for the 95. Again, without having a stage to bunch the field up, that is going to be a lot of time lost that may not come back to him, but still out on track. I said that 45 was going to be a stretch, but Adam Newton stays out again, so this will be 43 coming to 44, this time at least. So he's got to go around the track 2 more times, 2.5 more times. I don't know. I don't know if he's got it. If he does get to 45, I'm a little bit baffled as to why Elaine came down so soon. We'll have to see what the mindset is with the strategy there, but either way, it's going to be fun to see the number 4 now through 3 and 4. Drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Does the championship leader come down pit road this time? No, he does not. Back out on track. I think he's trying to go all the way.
Yeah, I think you're right. Meanwhile, Christopher Pendle in the number 94 comes down. Steven Lashinsky comes down pit road. So they will make it 43 full laps on fuel. They'll go across the start-finish line to start lap number 44. So they seem maybe a little bit short of the 2-stop strategy. Maybe just... Let's see if the 4 of Newton comes down. The 4 of Newton comes down, so he makes it 44 laps. I mean, definitely in the window you would think to be able to make it at least saving a little bit, but more interestingly, both Tom Lester and Philip Scott will make it to that magic number of 45. So they will have completed the 1/3 race distance on a single tank of fuel. So, Andre, are we potentially seeing here something that will have championship implications at the end of the night? I don't know. It's still early, still very early to tell. But definitely some interesting strategies shaking out here, as looks like Lester and Philip Scott are both going to come down onto pit road this time. Good job by both of those drivers to make it to pit road speed despite two very unique entries. Got Philip Scott doing kind of the maybe a little bit more modest entry, and Tom Lester leaving a little bit late to make that hard left turn.
Yeah, that he was. So this is interesting because now I'm pretty certain that the number 51, TJ Lane, is barred from making it on just 2 stops. He's going to have one more stop than anybody else. And yes, he's got fresh tires. Yes, he is going to cycle out to the lead right here. But with that extra stop, I don't think he's going to gain enough time on that extra set of tires. Oh my goodness. As we say that, caution comes out. So that may be a huge play for the 51. He can come down pit road now. As the 18, Jimbo Casterline is missing a rear end. Guess we'll figure out exactly why that is. Gets a little bit loose down into the corner, veers it into the wall. Hard hit to the passenger side. Oh, no. That's where the rear end went.
Yeah, that's where the rear end went. Came down the racetrack right in front of Will Ratcliffe. Nowhere for Ratcliffe to go in that one. Still a little bit late on this one. I think he just lost it there in the middle of the corner and then just kind of cut right down. Ratcliffe tried to do everything he could to miss it. Of course, they do have one fast repair, so hopefully Ratcliffe still has that fast repair to use. Let's see if we can go back and maybe see exactly what happened to Jimbo. Here we go. Oh, this is still a little bit late. Just got loose and right there in the middle of the corner and went up the racetrack. Then cut back down. I think he was trying to get off the racing surface and probably didn't know that Will Ratcliffe was coming on by. Let's go back to live scenes, however, and see what's happening out there on the racetrack. And TJ Elaine in the number 51 is coming down pit road. So, Andre, that definitely changes the strategy, I think, for Elaine here. He's probably just going to come down and likely not take tires. Although, if he did take a set of tires, and the race goes green to the end, he'd still be okay making that final stop with everyone else. But looks like Elaine's just going to take on fuel. So he should be now in the realm to make it on just one more stop with pretty much the rest of the field. Now, because Philip Scott and Tom Lester stayed out a little bit longer, Andre, they did lose some track position. So it is Newton, Pendle, Lashinsky, Scott, and Lester here on lap number 48. But Scott and Lester will have the fresher tires by just a lap or two. We'll see exactly how much that pays out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We'll just have to wait and see as the first caution flag of the night is out. RC Plains 59 saying getting in late. Best of luck to the top 4. RC Plains, welcome on in. Thank you for tuning in to 3Y TV here tonight, as well as everyone else in the chat. We got 11 people watching. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you can. Jacob Williams did say let's go number 51 as I just hit my hand. Ouchies. But Stay Tuned Sports said cold tires got loose, couldn't save it. Jimbo Casterline in the pit right now and in the 3Y TV chat. So that's what happened. Andre just got loose on cold tires.
It's an easy mistake to make. I'll tell you what. It is a huge difference in handling, going from warm tires to fresh, cold tires. You kind of get in a rhythm. The tires slowly degrade and you slowly adapt to those tires. Then you come down pit road and it just throws a complete curveball. Car feels completely different, and it takes a while. It takes a couple laps to get the heat up into the tires, and if you're not careful, that is what happens. You get a little bit sideways, and the banking here at Miami makes it a little bit difficult to save the car because it kind of inherently wants to kick your car down towards the apron and prevent you from bringing that front end back around. So it happens, absolutely.
So we'll see if the iRacing pace car lights stay on. If they stay on, we will try and get a word with one of our Championship 4 contenders. If they turn off, we'll let the drivers get back to focus. And, of course, a lot on the line here tonight with it being the season finale. And those lights, they do turn off. So we'll be going back green flag here, Andre. We'll have 50 laps down, 85 laps left to go. Still a ways before we make it to across flags here tonight at the conclusion of lap number 68, but they are clicking them off in a hurry. It's been green flag up till now, and it definitely seems like a night where we're not going to get many caution flags.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised we got one. I really thought we were going to go green to the end. But alas, I guess, they got the stage that they were missing. In a way, they kind of got the caution right about when it would have fallen anyhow. So it bunches the field back up. You see the 51 back there in fifth. That's inside row 3. Now, Adam Newton, that big advantage that he had built up over the course of that run is now erased. He's got Chris Pendle right to the bottom. He's opted for the high line in that lead. And we're going to have to see if he can, as the control car, try and get out to a solo lead and do what he did in the first stint.
Yeah, he looked mighty impressive, but the big question is, was he doing so without saving fuel? Of course, this caution flag will probably help Adam Newton because it will help him save a good number of laps of fuel to probably put him back in that window where he can make it to the rest or to the end of the race on just one more fuel stop. Gets a good jump though, clears at Christopher Pendle there in second. Philip Scott and Tom Lester still battling for third side by side back behind. I just wonder how this caution flag is going to change the complexion of this race, if at all. Seems like fuel saving probably going to be off the table now, at least for some of these drivers, Andre. Got some drivers on slightly fresher tires than others. They're all bunched back together. Let's see what the second third of tonight's race has in store for us here.
Got too many fractions going on, Peter. You're hurting my head. Second, third. Either way, we'll have to wait and see what's in store for this field. Philip Scott up into third. Tom Lester currently running P4. And Adam Newton already out to about a half a second advantage over Pendle. I was curious to see what TJ Elaine was going to be able to do on this restart, having fresher tires. And the answer so far is maybe not as much as you'd hope. He's getting a little bit sideways into the wall. I guess that's what he's doing. Into that outside barrier. He's got the number 9 right behind him. And again, taking that risky high line. It is so fast early in the run. But if you mess it up, and I mean, you're playing a game of inches here, it's big time problems.
Yeah, and of course, this is a racetrack where aerodynamics is so important. You want all the downforce you can get on the front of the car because you're carrying so much speed all the way around this track. I mean, we'll bring up the little dashboard there, 180 plus miles an hour going off into turn number 1. And then in the middle of the corner, you're still going 135, 140. He's back on the throttle now. You see the speed going up. So you want as much downforce as you can. The faster you go, the more downforce you create. But it also means that the faster you go, the more damage will affect you when it comes to downforce. So TJ Elaine here in the number 51 machine appears to be smacked the wall again up off the corner. I was about to say, Andre, he's losing ground to the cars in front of him.
Yeah, I'm starting to think he's got some sort of damage underneath the hood, maybe a bit of a bent toe link or something going on, bent A-arm, because he was so fast at the beginning of this race and now just hemorrhaging positions. I mean, not even close to the momentum he had at the start, which is not good news. TJ Elaine trying to get a championship here tonight with the car not underneath him, at least for the time being. Again, they do have that fast repair, but it would seem that he has not opted to use it.
Yeah, at least didn't opt to use it under that, or maybe did use it under that last, and maybe it was one of those hits with the wall that we just saw that may have damaged the car. We don't really know. But for right now, back behind the 51 of Elaine, we got a battle for position between Steven Lashinsky and Jason Shue. The number 9 running in 7th, Shue running in 6th. Will Ratcliffe, after his spin earlier, is being scored 1 lap down. Jimbo Casterline is back on the racetrack as well after his mishap that brought out the caution. He's being scored 3 laps down. So we do have another caution. Ratcliffe would be in the lucky dog spot to get back on the lead lap, at least for right now. But just with how this race is going, we're not gonna see a lot of cautions, I don't think. like we were mentioning, just a bit surprised that even one came out because it definitely had that green flag feel to it.
Yeah, I think the rest of this race has a green flag feel to it as well. As we take a look back towards the front of the field, Philip Scott still third, trailing second place Chris Pendel, doing everything he can to try and reel him in. But Chris migrating to that high line, maybe looking around the track, trying to find where's a little bit extra speed. Where can I gain on Adam Newton? Because, man, he is pulling away now 0.6 of a second. Starting to look like a repeat of the first stint where he kind of got away from it a bit. Although this time I think that Ford may be a little bit more concerned with tire saving because he is running that low line more than he was before. He was kind of running the middle to high on that first stint, now moving down low. Thinking about saving some tires, perhaps. Chris Pendel, though, all out on that high line, trying to close in. Philip Scott running the middle, and that shot right there is a good example of what this track is. We got 3 different cars running 3 different lines, and well, they all kind of equalize out to be just about the same speed.
And that's really the magic of this racetrack. It's 3 lines, pretty much equalizing the same speed, and that's what the progressive banking will do. And Andre, I know you've probably raced a racetrack or two that have progressive banking. It's always, in my opinion, a mixed bag. It puts on a great show for the fans. It puts on a great show for us here on 3Y TV as commentators. It can be so frustrating as a race car driver to try and pass someone on a racetrack with variable banking because the lines are so even, but the high line has more banking and ultimately more grip. It's just a longer way around the track. It's difficult to dive to the inside sometimes and make a pass on someone when there's less grip down there because you have a car to your outside. Well, you don't want to wreck the car to your outside. So it also makes the racetrack a little bit narrower effectively when you have a car in your high line. And that means that you really can't use all the racetrack to keep your momentum up. So kind of a difficult thing to make a pass on a racetrack like this with the progressive banking. And as a race car driver, a sim race car driver, honestly, it can be kind of frustrating. You might have the faster car, but because the racetrack is a little bit narrower when you got a car running that high groove, it just makes it really difficult sometimes to complete the pass.
Yeah, if they take the lane away from you, there's really not much you can do other than try to go where they're not and hope that you can send it. Although, Homestead, definitely you can throw a slide job here, kind of like Kansas. If you drive it in deep and you do get clear in time, you kind of slot up in front of them, although it does open the door for a crossover. The banking, the progressive banking allows you to kind of drive down out of the corner, gain some momentum. It can be tough. You're exactly right. It can be frustrating, but it's even more frustrating when everybody's so close in pace. I mean, Adam Newton's walked out to about a second lead now, but Chris Pendel, Philip Scott, Tom Lester, these guys really, lap in and lap out. One of them might get the advantage over the other, but over the course of this race, they are very equal on pace, and that just makes the passing even more difficult. You get the advantage in one corner, you're a little bit quicker, you think, all right, I'm faster than this guy, I can get him. And then the next corner, they get the advantage, and you're back to square one. So it's definitely tough. So you see Pendel going to that really high side, going to the high side of the track, trying to keep that momentum up, and Philip Scott just kind of holding true to his mid to bottom lane that he's been running all night long. Tom Lester behind. These drivers all trailing our race leader, and also TJ Elaine, going back to him, 7 seconds now, the difference. He has dropped a position from where he restarted. It keeps going in that direction. He is running the risk of getting passed by Jason Shu as well, who is the last car on the lead lap. So I would have to imagine there's some sort of damage under the hood. Something is wrong with that 51 because this is not even close to the pace that he was showing earlier.
Yeah, without a doubt. He will charge, remember, from 10th on the grid up onto the podium in probably 20 laps or so. And since we went back green flag on lap number 50, he now finds himself 7.5 seconds behind Adam Newton up at the front of the field. He does have slightly older tires, but not significantly older tires. They're just maybe or so laps if I were to kind of guess, 7 or 8 laps, something like that. But I don't think tires make that much of a difference. Maybe they do, but he's also been in the wall and affected the downforce on that Chevy Camaro. So I think right now, Elaine in a world of hurt. He is the last place driver of our championship 4 of Newton, Pendle, Lester, and Elaine. But we'll keep our eyes on him. You know, another caution flag out of the blue. Whoa, he's in the wall again. That's not going to be good there, TJ.
No, not helping his cause at all. That's going to be another second loss to the leader. And championship hopes not looking too bright right now. 67 laps into this event. Race leader Adam Newton, 2 seconds the advantage now over this gaggle of cars battling for position behind him. You see Tom Lester trying to get down to the low side of Pendle, pick that position up, and he will, according to the timing and scoring, at least for the moment. And nope, back to Pendle, back to Lester. These two side by side trying to claim their position on the podium. But it looks like the 48 is going to concede the position. Into the wall goes the 94. Again, that runs the risk of you're trying to run the highest line. You're trying to arc the corner as much as possible and going to scrub some momentum away. That's enough for the 48 to get clear. Put Lester in third. Phillips got about a second ahead on the road. He's currently running P2, trying to run down Adam Newton. But, and actually, my goodness, what is going on with that timing and scoring? Philip Scott just gained 0.5 of a second on Adam Newton like it was nothing. I don't know if there was a bobble out of Newton or what happened there, but I mean, it went from 2.4 down to 1.9 in the blink of an eye. So I would imagine that had to be some sort of bobble, or it could be Philip Scott just saved tires a little bit better, and he may be reeling them in.
Well, also, Philip had, I think, 2 lap fresher tires than Adam Newton, so that might also be coming into play. Maybe tires do matter a little bit more than I was thinking. For everyone wondering at home, at this stage of the run, Adam Newton's fastest lap of the night was a 33.34. Last time by, he ran a 34.52. Newton was still the second fastest car on the track, but this man right here, Philip Scott, was the fastest on the racetrack that last lap. But it's about a 1.2 second fall off at this moment in time. Of course, this time by now, Philip Scott is going to be the slower of those two. TJ Elaine here, Andre, coming down pit road. Maybe he's had enough of those tires and scraping the wall. But interestingly enough, here again, this is a different strategy call than everyone else. He's still going to have to pit once more from here, whereas all those other drivers he was racing, we think they're going to make it to lap number 90, give or take, and they'll be good to the checkered flag from there.
Yeah, should be good to the end on lap 90, but right here, definitely not good. Here comes a 95 as well, getting down towards his pit stall, trying to maybe fix some of the damage that he has accrued and get some fresh Goodyears under that car. But in the meantime, Adam Newton walking back out to about a 2-second lead. I thought for a moment Philip Scott might have something, but either way, he's still showing the speed he had earlier. And as we approach lap 75, getting closer to the end of this thing, let's once again take in the sights and sounds of Miami with Bring the Noise.
All right, back live to Homestead Miami Speedway, and well, Andre was just talking about that big rubber blob right there that you can see. Andre, when one of these chunks of rubber flies up into the windshield, you get that big black mark.
Yeah, and iRacing also, you can hear it. When you get up in the marbles, you get up where all the rubber and the little pebbles are. You can hear it on the car and on the underbody and everything. And that was one of the things when I first subscribed to iRacing that kind of blew me away. I'm going to be fully honest. I was never really that impressed with iRacing's physics, but the audio of the cars, the rubber, the track, everything was just so far and away better than any other simulator I'd ever played. And that is one thing they do really well. And it's something that a lot of simulators, I think, neglect. There's not too many other simulators where you can see the dust and debris and rubber and whatever else actively accumulating on the windshield as you drive, at least to the extent of iRacing. So fun to note, but still 2 seconds between our leaders. So I don't think that little rubber blotch is really holding them back too much.
No, it's definitely not holding him back at all. We thought maybe Philip Scott was closing in on Adam Newton, but Newton's actually brought this back to just over 2 seconds. Not really saying that Philip Scott's gaining or really losing anything too significant. He's still staying in the mix, but he's close enough, Andre, that he's still applying the pressure for this impending pit stop that we expect to see inside the next 10 laps or so.
Yeah, lap 90 is going to be the ticket, although if they can go any further, I think that's what they're going to want to do, because in the event of a green-white checkered, you don't really necessarily want to be puttering around on a low tank. So, I mean, having those caution laps, it seemed like that caution kind of drug on forever. We didn't get back green until about lap 50, 51. So I would assume these guys that maybe came down during the caution, or even the guys that came down right before the caution, just because of all the pacing, should be good to get to lap 93, 94, and that'll put them in a much more comfortable position to get to 135. They don't have to really worry about saving, and if we get a green-white checkered, they don't have to worry about coming down pit road. But here's the thing: if you're Philip Scott, if you're Tom Lester, maybe you need that undercut. Maybe you need the few lap pressure tires to get that time back, to get ahead of Newton and cycle out ahead of him, and just try to park the bus. That's really all you can do sometimes. I was running a RC car race last weekend, and the guy behind me was far and away faster. But it was a track that was tough to pass. I parked the bus in front of him, and I did that for many laps consecutively until I ultimately beat him. And I think that might be what it takes here to get around Adam Newton. Just get the fresher tires. Don't worry about how much they wear later, and do a little bit of mirror driving.
Well, that last time by, Philip Scott had to deal with the lapped car of TJ Lane. But as you saw with the graphic just before I panned away, there we go, back to this graphic. Over the last 15 laps or so, the gap between Adam Newton and Philip Scott has been kind of in the 1.8 to 2.0 second kind of bracket. But now I think it just, I don't know why that graphic appears broken now. Let me see. Does that fix it? Nope, that does not fix it. I was going to say it's up above 2.4 seconds now. But in that kind of 15 lap span there, it's really only varied by about 0.2 of a second. So, but looks like Elaine is closing in on the number 4 here of Newton. So expect to see Newton probably lose a little bit of time to Philip Scott once Elaine starts to kind of ruin his exit here up off the corner, which he does right there. And I'm sure we'll see that gap to Philip Scott kind of come back.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Adam Newton played it right. He didn't try to fight 51. There's no point in it. He's got pressure tires. He's going to be faster. He's going to get around you eventually anyway. So the best thing to do is just to kind of pull over and let him by as quickly as you can so that you don't waste that much time and you let Philip Scott catch up. So Philip Scott really didn't gain much. I mean, maybe half a tenth through that little maneuver, but Adam Newton's already got it back. So played it right. And the 51, I'm still just a little bit baffled on this strategy. He's off strategy. He's going to have an extra stop compared to everybody else. I I don't foresee it working, but who knows? I mean, crazy things have happened. And we'll have to keep an eye on that 51, who is currently looking pretty good with the fresher tires at least. But Scott, Lester, Lashinsky, Pendle, and then Shu about 24 seconds back is the next car at risk of going a lap down. TJ Lane just unlapped himself the old-fashioned way. But if Shu goes a lap down, that's going to put us down to 6 cars on the lead lap, and 4 of them, of course, championship contenders: Newton, Lester, Pendle, and Elaine. Newton, the class of the field right now, though.
Yeah, Newton out front, not looking back. As we close in on lap number 90, once these drivers make it to lap number 90, we think they're good to go all the way from there. This might be the final pit stop of the Stay Tuned Sports season. We have a couple of early takers. We got Christopher Pendle coming down. We got Jimbo Casterline coming down. Gonna be maybe a little bit of fuel saving needed to make it to the checkered flag for these guys. We'll see if that is true or not. But as they work lap number 89, in fact, they came down, Andre, at lap 88, so they have to go 47 laps? That's a bit high for those drivers to make it the rest of the way on fuel, I think.
Yeah, it's close. Definitely not going to be a comfortable situation. Newton doing exactly what I kind of thought he would do, stretch it out past lap 90 as far as he can take it. The number 18 back out on track, Jimbo Casterline. He is 5 laps down, but he's been back out on track for a while now, used up that fast repair, and now trying to salvage what he can out of the night here in the season finale. Lap 91, the 4 is going to stay out again. I think lap 93, 94 is going to be my prediction. Would have been a better position there, but we'll have to wait and see, as I'm actually having a bit of technical difficulty here. A little bit of connection issues, so I'm going to try to take a look at this here for a second, Peter.
All right, well, hopefully you can get that sorted out here, but I think you're pretty much spot on. If you can make it to lap number 93, you are good to go to the end and then some. Although Philip Scott in the number 99, he made an early turn onto pit road at the conclusion of lap number 90. He will be down and away. So a couple of laps before Adam Newton. Newton still circling on the racetrack. Philip came down on lap 90. We're working lap number 92. Here's Adam Newton working his way onto the backstretch. Let's see if he makes the hard left turn this time in the number 4 Ford Mustang. EPG on the hood. I think he's slowing down. Yes, he is. Here he goes. Adam Newton onto pit road. Getting down to that pit road speed. No worries about the pit road speeding penalty. Tom Lester will inherit the race lead temporarily. Stephen Lashinsky flashes by the number 4 of Newton. He comes down to his pit box. A long, slow slog down to his pit box, but he has that first pit box or the last pit box, either way you want to look at it, the pit box right at the end of pit road. Right side tires going on right now for the driver that has dominated tonight's race and really just has not looked back at all. Jack's down. Adam Newton is away. No penalties on this one, Andre.
No penalties there, so that should be good to the end. And I had to take my phone off the Wi-Fi. I think it was kind of screwing with me there because I was looking about 3 pixels trying to make out what car was what. But in the meantime, he's going to be out and away. Lashinsky inheriting the lead as Lester and Shu come down pit road. Although TJ Elaine again going to cycle out ahead, I believe, of Newton. But again, he's got an extra stop. He is not good to the end from here. And even if he was, he's got older tires. Here comes Lashinsky. He's going to monster truck it, drift down to the apron, and get her woed up in time. Get some fuel and some fresh tires on that there Monster Jam machine. It's been a pretty solid night for Lashinsky so far. And a pretty solid end to the year as well for that number 9. We talked earlier about just how much he has improved throughout the season and his consistency that he has shown into the stall. He's going to make it just fine. Does not overshoot it. Jack stand goes up. TJ Lane now in the lead. But again, he is one more stop to the end. So Barring a miraculous caution or some absurd circumstance, he will be giving that lead up at some point or another. Philip Scott 6 seconds behind. And look at this, taking that undercut. Philip Scott 4 seconds ahead of Adam Newton. That, like I said, it's going to take somebody doing just that. Take the undercut, take the tires, and park the bus. Hope that he doesn't catch up to you on those fresher tires. Hope that it works out, because on pace, I don't think anybody had anything for Newton, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, Newton does not need to win this race to be the champion. He just needs to be the best finisher out of the 4 contenders. So Philip Scott realistically could win this race, and Newton finishes second, still takes the title. So probably not too worried about that overall. But, you know, Peter, if you're going for a championship, you want to go out on top. You want to get the championship and the race win. Give them the old double whammy.
Yeah, you want that double whammy. It feels really, 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 really good to walk off a championship as not only winner of the race, but winner of the championship. Been able to do it once myself, and it was so cool to be able to win. In fact, it came at this racetrack in the Cup car. I alluded earlier tonight to a race that I lost here in the kind of the championship finale, and I lost that the night prior to the race I won. I learned a lot in that race. And then the next night, I was able to take what I learned and turn it into a win. So, tell you what, this racetrack it's not the easiest one on the calendar. It has some nuances to it. Track time here is important, and I think we've really seen out of Adam Newton here tonight that he's been probably practicing a lot, getting lap time in, and that's why we've seen him so fast. But TJ Lane, we know he has to make one more pit stop, but Andre, he's going to need a caution flag to fall here probably in the next, I would say, based off of lap time, probably the next 5 laps if he wants to kind of luck into a good strategy call here. Otherwise, that if it stays green, Lane looks like it will not be his night.
Yeah, again, he would need some miraculous circumstance, maybe some divine intervention. He really got off sequence early on in this race and hasn't really been able to recover. That damage that he had there on the second stint did not help matters much at all. Now, Philip Scott looking to be roughly 2.5 seconds up on Adam Newton. That gap was 4 seconds not too long ago. So the fresh tires definitely working for Newton. He is reeling them in, but 35 laps left in the race. He's got to close that 2.5 second gap plus, and then he's got to try to get around him. So, you talked earlier, Peter, about just how tough passing can be. It is a multi-groove track, but if the driver in front of you is taking away whatever groove you have chosen, and you have to run the suboptimal lines, then it's not exactly easy. Here comes TJ Lane for his final stop of the night. That's going to be 34 laps until the end, so completely good on fuel, completely good on tires, but not good necessarily on track position.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that Elaine decided to pit from the lead. I probably would have held out for as long as I could and then pitted once I lost the lead, but Elaine is on pit road a little bit early. He will have fresher tires, but Philip Scott, I think, will be putting him down a lap here shortly. While he's getting his tires fixed. There you go. He's just now rolling off pit road. Philip Scott whipped on by. Green flag in the air, and I think that is Elaine's final set of tires as well. So if a caution flag were to come out, I mean, he's not quite in the lucky dog position. He can run down Jason Shue, who's in that number 3, just behind our race leader, Philip Scott. The kind of blue, purple, pink machine, the Wawa Toyota Supra right there. I think he can run down Jason Shue. I think Elaine can get in the lucky dog spot, but he's going to have to get a caution flag, and he, at this point, won't have fresher tires than the other drivers if the other drivers elect to come down pit road. So I just don't know about this call by TJ Elaine to come onto pit road, but he played his hands. Andre hoped he got a caution flag, and sometimes what you have to do, right? You have to do something different than the other drivers. If you can't beat them on speed, sometimes you can beat them on strategy, and I think that's what TJ was after. It's just not working out the way he had hoped it would. Meanwhile, Philip Scott, Andre, he was about 3 or 4 seconds up the road from Adam Newton. It's now down to 1.7. We could have a little bit of a shootout on our hands.
Yeah, that we could. 1.6 seconds the difference. And again, it's going to be a different task when it comes to overtaking. It's one thing to run them down. It's a whole other thing to make the pass. Now they are both in the same camera shot. They've also got the 3-car between them. Jason Shu has fresher tires than both these drivers, and he is keeping pace with our race leader, which is honestly, I think, going to work out in Philip Scott's favor, because that way it's not just one car that he needs to pass. He's got to get around 2 different drivers. And that could hold him up. That could stall him maybe just long enough for Philip Scott to drive away a little bit, but not if Jason Shu passes Philip Scott, which he has been closing in. He's getting closer in that wah-wah machine, so this could happen. And if it does, if he gets side by side, that's going to slow Philip Scott up. That'll be a huge detriment to his effort here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Meanwhile, the number 99, Philip Scott, continues to click off these laps, so 1.2 now, the gap between Philip and Adam. It's a good gap back to Tom Lester, about 4.5 seconds in third. He's a little bit up the road from Christopher Pendle. Also, Lester has much fresher tires than Pendle, 5 laps, so Lester will be starting to pull away. In fact, we'll go back and watch the replay here, Andre, of how the 48 made the move on the number 94. This was just a couple of laps ago. Got a good run up off of turn number 4, and honestly, it looks like Pendle just let him go and roll on by, as looks like maybe Pendle also caught the wall there after doing so, but move Lester up into third. Just he's going to have to run down Adam Newton for the championship, 4.7 seconds between those two, and of course Adam's got his sights set on that blue and white 99 out front.
Yeah, sights are set indeed. 1.2 seconds going to be the difference, and Jason Shu again losing a little bit of time there from one lap down, and made an effort at it, and he's continuing to make an effort at it, just doesn't quite have enough. Tom Lester, the second championship contender currently, is 5 seconds back, so given how few laps remain, again, barring some sort of extenuating circumstance, not looking too good there, but this battle right here, continuing to heat up, the 3-car closing in little by little. Adam Newton trying to bring that gap under a second, gets it down to about 1.04. So he is moving. He's not hit a tire wear plateau, not yet, under a second now. 0.94 seconds the difference. And there is TJ Elaine. Now he is 1 lap down. He's probably going to unlap himself here. At least try to make an effort at finishing on the lead lap in that 51, side by side with the 99. Now that's going to force the 99 into a bit of a shallow entry. That's going to help Newton. You can see it's now 0.7 of a second. So Elaine is going to complete that pass, get back on the lead lap. Should be all good there. And now not only in the same frame, but lurking ever closer, Adam Newton just a little over half a second back.
Yeah, half second with 26 laps to go. I think it's just a matter of time until the number 4 gets himself where he has been all night long. I mean, it has been a dominating performance from Adam Newton. It has taken Philip Scott pulling the undercut by 2 laps to get himself out front. And it has really only been, about 15 or so laps, Andre, and Newton's been able to erase about 3.5 seconds. So you do the math, folks, another 15 laps, that would put him about 3 seconds up the road, which is where we've seen him most of the night. But, catching him is one thing, passing him is another, and we're down to 25 laps to go in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Series season here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Currently, Adam Newton, if the race were to end now, would be our champion. Tom Lester second, Christopher Pendle third on points. And, of course, Philip Scott would be playing spoiler here tonight as he's not one of our championship contenders. But trying to get another win to his name. Philip has been very, very good at this season. Of course, did not win at Monza. Had a tornado warning late in that event. I think it was like 2 or maybe 3 laps to go. He had to go take shelter from the lead. But of course, he did win at Rockingham just 3 races prior to this one, and of course at Kansas last week. So 2 wins to his name. He's trying to get his 3rd win this season. Adam Newton, on the other hand, is trying to pick up win number 5 this season, as he won 4 out of the first 6 races at iRacing Silver Speedway, Kentucky, Worldwide Technology Park, and New Hampshire. But it has dried up ever since that win at New Hampshire. But it is down to just a quarter of a second with 23 laps to go.
Yeah, 0.2 seconds going to be the gap, and we're closing in on the finish here. So the 99 has to do what I was talking about earlier. Just try and park the bus. Take the line away from Newton. Put your car wherever he's trying to go, and don't let him around you. Play some hardcore defense. Now, the good news for Philip Scott is that things should get easier the further they get into this run, because eventually the tire wear will plateau. And it won't matter that Newton has 2-lap pressure tires, because it's just going to be at a point where the car is handled the same regardless, and then it's just down to driver ability and outright battle for position should be equal footing. And without that advantage, it's going to be tough for Newton to get around him. But you can see already the gap has kind of stalled out at about 0.2. He's in that dirty air. Momentum is starting to fade. Getting into that tire wear plateau zone, it's going to be a battle. I think Newton's a little bit quicker, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee a pass.
No, it does not. And of course, going back to what I was talking about earlier, the progressive banking can make it pretty difficult to make a pass. So we will see if that comes into play here. Newton diving down to the bottom side of the racetrack again. You can tell just closing in on the number 99 of Philip Scott, doing a great job of getting into the corner, but Scott was able to get the power down a little bit early. Newton going to have to deal with that dirty air. Really, more things are working against Adam Newton here. The dirty air, the fact that it's difficult to pass on a progressively banked racetrack. The only good thing Newton has, of course, is 2-lap pressure tires. And we have seen tires make, a relative difference here tonight. So, see if Newton can use that 2-lap tire advantage to pull off this pass. But one thing I'm noticing, Andre, is Philip Scott's taking away Newton's line. He's throwing those blocks on him, like you were talking about on the RC track that last week when you parked the bus. That's kind of what Philip Scott's doing here.
It is working, lap after lap. He still has the lead. Newton really not able to do much about it. I mean, he's in the dirty air. He's getting his line taken away, and so far, he's gotten up to the bumper. He's gotten close, but has not made the move. So whether or not Philip Scott can keep this up for 18 more laps, I don't know. It's going to be tough. That is quite a bit of distance here at Miami, but he's putting in a solid effort.
He's putting in a solid effort, that is for certain. Has all night long, has all season long in that number 4. Just kind of had that lull that we were talking about a little while ago, but has been finishing top 5 consistently week after week after week after week. 11 top 10s this season and 11 starts for Adam Newton. 9 of those top 5s and 4 of those in victory lane. So only 2 races has Adam Newton not finished in the top 5. One of those was at Talladega in really the crapshoot that is a super speedway race. The only other one was Chicagoland, and if I recall correctly, that was because he had a speeding penalty on pit road that set him back in that race. I think it might have been on the money stop for Adam Newton. So Adam's had a really strong season this year and trying to finish it off with the title here tonight and potentially the win if and only if he can get around the 99 Philip Scott, but just not really seeing anything out of Newton. I'm a bit surprised, Andre, he's not searching for that high line that we've seen a lot of other drivers use tonight. Maybe get some clean air on the nose. Just for right now, seems to be locked up right behind the number 99.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised too. I don't know if he's just keeping that in his back pocket when we get closer to the end of the race. Maybe thinking about, it's a risk to run that line. So if you're going to take the risk, take it at the end. When you have no other option, there's nothing really left to do, rather than, give it a shot down on the bottom, see if you can pass him the way you'd prefer to pass him. And then if you can't, move up to the top, ride that wall. Adam Newton, we've seen him up on the wall a couple times tonight. We know that he can do it. But yeah, if I'm him, I think I'm starting to think about it at this point. We're 14 laps to go. It's evident that he's not going to get around him on the bottom. So, got to try something.
Yeah, he's definitely running lower than Philip kind of on entry. But Philip seems to be getting a really strong run up off the corner. In fact, this is the largest gap that we've seen between the 99 and the 4 in quite some time, as Philip was able to leg it out there on the backstretch. I don't know. Maybe Newton used up his tires to get to the back bumper of the 99. I really don't know. This is a bit surprising. We saw him get there so fast, and I kind of expected it to be open and shut, but Philip is doing all he can out front.
Yeah, we said it's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him, and that's being proven. And actually, a really bad exit out of the corner there puts Newton 3/10 of a second back from being 1.5 or 0.15. So we'll see. He's going to go back down to the bottom. He's going to close the gap a little bit in the center, but I think if he's going to get around him, he's got to move to the top. He has to go where Philip is not. And Philip, he's really not ran the top all night. He's been dedicated to the low line. So if you go up there and you try to pass him, he's not really going to, I don't think he's going to take the line away. But I don't know. Again, maybe Newton's got something planned. Maybe he's got a trick up his sleeve. But he's going to have to play that trick pretty soon, because it seems like Philip Scott is starting to pull away a little bit, like you said.
Yeah, again, Newton going to that bottom line. You don't want to wait too late, Andre. You want to kind of feel out that high line, get used to it. It's one of those things, at least it takes me maybe 2 or 3 laps to get used to running the high line. Maybe the first time you don't hit it right. Maybe the second or third time you kind of find a little bit of speed up there. But for right now, Newton's staying locked to that inside line. Maybe he's, not too concerned. Where he is right now, he's still the champion. He still walks away with the ultimate prize of the season behind Philip Scott. But yeah, you're not missing anything really up and down the scoring pylon for now. A couple of laps ago, we did see a change of position. This was the battle for 4th between Stephen Lashinsky and Christopher Pendle. Looks like Lashinsky was able to dive to the inside. And Andre, we've talked about Lashinsky. We talked about him at the top of the show, saying that he's put together some pretty solid runs here tonight. Well, he just passed one of the championship 4 contenders, and that's pretty good. If you do that, you're doing the right things. Obviously, if you're finishing in front of the drivers that finally did make it to the ultimate round here at Homestead, Miami. Let's jump back to live scenes. I didn't click the right button. There we go. Now we're back live. But Lashinsky would still have about 3 seconds to run down Tom Lester to catch a podium, and 9 laps to go seems a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, a bit of a stretch indeed, unless Lester were to make a bit of a bobble, which you never know. Tires are getting pretty shot, so we will see drivers make bobbles. Now, I'm curious to see 0.4 of a second. It's almost half a second now between Philip Scott and Adam Newton. Looks like Philip is starting to pull away. Does this force Adam Newton's hand? Does he finally migrate towards the top? Doesn't seem like it. Seems like he's still pretty dedicated to that low line, and it kind of confuses me. I don't know if he's just not comfortable up there. I don't know what the thought process is, but I think by taking this low line and letting Philip Scott put him in dirty air, it's just kind of sacrificing a lot of time that he maybe doesn't need to give up. I think at this point, take the risk, right? You got 7 seconds over the next championship contender. If Adam Newton got a little tight, got into the wall, he's got a huge buffer. He could go for this win. He could drive pretty hard, but like you said, Peter, it could just be, look, I finished second, I still win the championship. there's no need to take that risk. Maybe I get in the wall, maybe I get stuck on it, maybe it damages the car, and then Tom Lester catches up, passes me, he finishes second, and then he takes the championship. And that's obviously not what Adam Newton wants, so, maybe just playing it smart and whoa, onto the apron. Speaking of taking risks, how about that? Got a little bit squirrely down beneath that white line.
Yeah, and that's what we saw earlier in the race from Will Ratcliffe that got the number 95 up out of shape when he was going around Jimbo Casterline. So you don't want to do that, Adam, but that has dropped the number 4 about a half second behind Phillip. You just have to go back to that undercut that Phillip Scott pulled. Could at least be the race-winning move. Coming down pit road on lap number 90. I was a bit... to be honest with you, Andre, I was a bit surprised that Phillip Scott came down on lap number 90. I thought maybe he's going to have to save a little bit of fuel at that point. Definitely no fuel saving going on right now, as Phillip Scott still out front and has been legging it out. See if Newton can make up for his mistake a lap or two ago and get back to the rear tailgate of Phillip Scott's Ford Mustang. But for right now, it's a Ford 1, 2, 3. Phillip Scott, Adam Newton, and Tom Lester. Before you get to the first Chevrolet, Stephen Lashinsky, Christopher Pendle in 5th is also in a Ford. It's a league dominated by Fords, honestly. Chevrolet of TJ Lane in 6th. Then you got the first Toyota of Jason Shu in 7th. Will Ratcliffe in a Chevrolet in 8th. And then Jimbo Casterline, Thad Miller, 9th and 10th, both in Toyotas. But a pretty even distribution of makes. 4 Fords, 3 Chevrolets, and 3 Toyotas. But it is definitely Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota on the scoring pile.
Yeah, definitely looking good for the Fords at the time, at least. 4/10 of a second now, the difference with 4 laps to go. Getting down to the end of it, 3 laps now. So if Newton's going to make a charge at it, he's got to do it now. The time for waiting is gone. But right now, it just seems like Phillip Scott was able to hold him off long enough. He got him to that point of the tire wear plateau, put him in the dirty air, and so far it's working out pretty well. He's got the advantage half a second now. Tom Lester has fallen back a little bit further from where he was last time we checked. It was about 7 seconds. Now it is 8.6 to the leader. Stephen Lashinsky in the number 9. We talked about him potentially catching Tom Lester. I'll tell you what, if he had 5 more laps or so, he might have. He's gotten within a second and a half of that 48. Pendle in the 94, falling back to 5th throughout the course of this race, and then TJ Lane is on the lead lap, and will finish there, it seems. But unfortunately for him, championship hopes coming to an unfortunate close here. Through 3 and 4 for the penultimate time, we're on board now with Adam Newton, and it is going to be the white flag this time by. The race will be official, whatever the next flag is. It's going to end the race, be it checkered, yellow, red, something in between. Down at the front straightaway, final lap of the season here for the NSRA Stay Tuned Sports Podcast series. Adam Newton running that low line. I thought maybe he might send a Hail Mary up top, maybe a Hail Melon, but not going to happen through turns 1 and 2. And now he's so far back, I don't think he's within striking distance, so it's just going to be one more solid set of corners for Phillip Scott through 3 and 4. And he's not going to walk away a champion, but he will walk away from Homestead, Miami with a trophy and a little bit of bragging rights. He is going to win here in Florida.
So Phillip Scott comes across the line to win the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast 200, but back behind him, Adam Newton started off the series with a win at iRacing Super Speedway, almost bookending the championship, the season. But Andre, he's our series champion, led the points after race number 1. He leads the points after the season finale as well. Congratulations to our series champion, Adam Newton, here tonight. And of course, congrats to Phillip Scott on the race win. We will get some post-race interviews lined up with Lester, Scott, and Newton. But my, oh my. Let's see if we get any double burnouts. There we go. We're going to get double burnouts here on the front stretch for these drivers. Let's see. Now we get to rate who does it better. Who does the better burnout between Phillip Scott and Adam Newton? These two drivers have got plenty of practice so far this season, and looks like Adam Newton going to light him up first.
Yeah, he's going to do a little bit of a donut here, and then there goes Philip Scott getting his burnout in. Is that going to be it for the number 4? Is he going to do a Polish victory lap? Let's see. I think it may just be Polish victory lap for Adam Newton, and the 98 also ceasing his burnout activities. Around the track goes the number 4, having won the championship again, winning the first 3 races of the year consecutively. Hasn't been in victory lane since then, but he's had a whole lot of podiums and enough good finishes to walk away with a championship in that PPG Ford. Man, oh man, what a year it has been for him.
Yeah, of course.
Some interviews getting lined up. I see Philip Scott in the waiting, but we will. Oh, I'm having some lag issues here. Peter, go ahead.
I was just going to say, got that win at iRacing Super Speedway, Kentucky. Got the win at New Hampshire earlier this season as well. I think also, what was that other race that I mentioned that he got the win at? Gateway, that's right. And then, I mean, just a strong season. I think he had the most wins of any driver. So very deserving champion is Adam Newton here tonight. But yeah, we're going to get some of those post-race interviews lined up for everyone. Going to make sure that we can get Tom Lester in the interview waiting room with Adam Newton and Philip Scott. Get those interviews lined up and call it a season. As there we go, Adam Newton going to burn it down one more time here on the front stretch in front of Barney the Flagman. Let's see if we can drag in tonight's third place finisher, finishing runner-up in the point standings as well, driver of the number 48 machine, Tom Lester. Tom, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, third place here tonight. It was a strong run for you, but also runner-up on the series championship. It's been a long season and some really good runs out of that number 48. Honestly, seems like you came alive in the back half of the season. Kind of talk us through your 2023 season and your race tonight.
It's been a good year overall. It took me 3/4 of the race to figure the track out. I haven't run track none, so raced on iRacing, first race here. Come out with third place. I'm happy.
Well, it was definitely impressive considering that fact here. Yeah, this racetrack has some nuances to it for sure that you kind of have to try a couple of things to figure out. But, you know, you got that win a couple of weeks back, and it definitely seemed like all of a sudden you were knocking on getting more wins. And from Chicago, you finished 4th at Rockingham, you finished 3rd at Indy, and 3rd at Kansas, and 3rd again here tonight. I think that puts you in a pretty good position going into next season.
Yeah, I can't wait for next season. Ready up. I'll be happy if you do it next week, but I'm ready for next season.
Well, we're ready for next season as well. A great battle with you and your teammate Adam Newton here tonight. It seemed like you both were probably chatting back and forth in Discord. We only had one caution here tonight. Was that a bit surprising in your book?
No, not really. I mean, I expected maybe 2 cautions. You know, kind of reading it laid back there, and just I think he could have done all 3 stops, and I was hoping there'd be no cautions. Run 3:45 lap runs and make it to the end. I didn't think a lot of people was going to try it, but I think everybody seen on the low line was trying to fuel mileage thing.
Yeah, well, you and Philip Scott, I think, were maybe only the 2 drivers to make it to lap number 45 under green flag conditions before that yellow flag came out. We up here in the booth, we were counting down the laps, and we were on to you at when you made it to lap number 45. But a great run for you nonetheless, and a great championship. Congratulations on finishing in 2nd in the final points tally. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out, Tom?
Yeah, give a shout out to y'all in the booth, and my teammate Adam, Chris, TJ, and Philip for the win tonight. Good racing tonight.
All right, well, that's going to do it with the Tom Lester and driver the number 48 machine runner-up here in the Stay Tuned Sports Series. We'll see you again next season, Tom.
All right. See y'all.
All right, well, we'll let Tom get back to celebrating his runner-up in the points tally and third place here tonight. Let's see if we can go down to victory lane, though, where Andre Grambush has caught up with driver the number 99 machine, Philip Scott.
Mr. Scott, you had a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Philip, you kind of have a habit of taking the things that I say in the booth and somehow proving me right, which doesn't happen often. But I said a long time ago at the start of the race that if anybody was going to get around Newton, they had to take the undercut.
Yeah.
They had to just park the bus.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you did. You took the undercut, you got out in front of him, and you put him in that dirty air, and you kept him there. And it worked. You walked away with a checkered flag. Tell me about it.
Yeah, that was a very eventful race. So actually, from the get-go, from when I was practicing earlier, I was just thinking, I was thinking like maximum I can go is like 45 laps, and so that would be like perfect two-stopper. And so I kind of based my race around that. I let Adam kind of get out ahead, but then that was kind of a mistake because then I let the three other guys go ahead of me, and then they started battling, and then I realized how good my tire wear was from coasting around, and so then I was just like trying to get by, but it was too late. And then me and Tom, I guess Tom was on the same strategy actually, so then we pit, and then the yellow came out, and then I just was like, all right, I'm just gonna stick with it. I could have made it like I could have gone a couple more laps and been fine. Like Newton he pit a couple laps after me, but I was just like I couldn't gain anything and I couldn't lose anything. Like we were just like so close on lap time that whole run. Second to last run, like 2 seconds. And so I was thinking to myself, well, 2 seconds, and I'm pretty sure that you gain 2 seconds a lap with an undercut. So I just went for it. But I still was like trying to coast and stuff because I knew 45 was tight. And then I came out 2 seconds ahead of him, and then I think he had a little slide. He told me he had a little slide or something, so it went to like 4 seconds. But I knew that he would claw it back really quick because first up he had fresher tires, and then also you didn't have to worry as much about fuel. So I just coasted and waited for him to get to me. Just hoped that his tires wore enough where he couldn't. He'd have to do something tough to do like a crazy pass to get by me because I felt really good on the bottom, which is kind of weird for Homestead because it's usually like the top, and that's where I would be if it wasn't for the fact that it completely just guzzles fuel. But yeah, I had 0.07 gallons of gas when I crossed the line. And I left myself enough so I could do like a full speed last lap and hopefully enough for a burnout. So I could just cover off if he tried to like get a run on me. But yeah, so then I just clutched it the whole last lap and tried to do a burnout. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Congrats to Adam for the title.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a fun race, and maybe next season, if you're present at some of the races at the start, it'll be a different story. Maybe it'll be a championship for you. I mean, definitely the pace you had, you were every bit a contender this year, just as you were the year before. So we'll see exactly what happens next year, what the next season has in store. But congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, that is going to be Philip Scott out of the booth, and now Peter Short has caught up with the champion, Adam Newton.
Yeah, the series champion, Adam Newton, started off the season with a win at iRacing Super Speedway, backed that up a couple of times, won the first 3 events, and then got another win midseason at New Hampshire with a dominating performance there. It was a pretty dominating performance for you here tonight up until Philip Scott pulled the the old undercut on you here. Weren't quite able to get around him, but nonetheless, at that point, you realize that even with second, you were going to walk away as the series champion. Tell us about it. It's been a great season for you in that number 4 car.
Yeah, it sure has, man. I had a lot of things on my mind this week, and I wanted to have a good performance, and I gave it away at the end when I came out of pit road when I went into turn 1 on that last pit, and that's how he got around me. I lost it going into entry, and I was trying to be real easy, saving gas and whatnot, but I looked at the bigger picture when I ran him back down, like I was talking to him in the interview and thing. I wanted to look at the bigger picture, and the championship was on the line and had a 6-second lead and didn't want to throw it away.
Well, it's definitely one thing to, to walk out as the series champion, and it's very much another to get caught up in a late race accident with one of your fellow competitors and going home with tears. So I think you made the right call. We'll remember you as the series champion next season for sure, and probably won't remember exactly if Philip Scott won this race. We probably will, but it was a very impressive season from you in that number 4 machine. I mean, more than just tonight. Like I said, with those 4 wins, you kind of put a stamp after those first few races saying, I'm here, I'm going to be competing for this championship, and you followed through.
Yeah, and that was the big picture, and I appreciate Tom being with me in the room, and Justin when he was in there, and Robbie too. You get lost and caught up in it once you start winning, and then when you have a couple bad races, you have to get back to where you maintain, and I kind of thought that, and I practiced quite a bit this week for this race, and like I said, I had a lot on my mind. I was thinking of Joey Doucette, another guy I raced with in another series. His mama, Robin, passed away. That's why I did that dedication lap for her, thinking about their family. And I appreciate everything that Jimbo does and what y'all did. And for him keeping this series together was the biggest thing. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely has been a lot of fun this season. Some great races. And like we say this pretty much every week. You guys keep us on our toes all the way to the checkered flag. Doesn't matter if there's 5 people or 10 people in the lead lap or 20 people in the lead lap at the end. It's always a lot of fun here. Some great racing, and you're a worthy champion here tonight. I know you got some other people to thank as well, so let's hear them.
Yeah, first and foremost, I thank God, Tom, my teammate. Thank Robbie and Justin for coming in, and Nate when he got the race, and thank Pam Pittman for being my sponsor, and thank you, Peter and Dirt and Jimbo. Like I said, if he hadn't kept the series going, we wouldn't have nowhere to race, and y'all do an excellent job putting their stuff out there, and I just try to do the best we can to give y'all a good race to broadcast.
That you do, Adam. Congratulations on the series title here in the Stay Tuned Sports Series, and we'll talk to you again soon, bud.
Heck yeah, man. Time for some celebratory sweet tea.
There you go. I like it. That's my go-to when I go to celebrate as well. We'll let you go celebrate that, and like I said, talk to you again soon.
Thank you, man. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for our post-race interviews with our series champion as well. Definitely some great racing this season here in the National Sim Racing Association. Let's see if we can bring up the final race results for everyone back at home. There they go. Up on the screen. Philip Scott taking home the dub. Adam Newton taking home the championship. They're in second. Tom Lester finishing runner-up in the point standings in third. Stephen Lashinsky 4th in the number 9 machine. A good finish for him. Christopher Pendle will come home 3rd in the final points tally. TJ Elaine 4th on the final points tally, 5th and 6th tonight. Jason Shue in 7th. He was 1 lap down at the end. Will Ratcliffe in 8th, 3 laps down. Jimbo Casterline 5 laps down in 9th. And Thad Miller rounding out our 10 cars that we had starting here tonight in the Stay Tuned Sports Series. But want to give a big shout out to Stay Tuned Sports, of course, Jimbo, Andre, as well as Harpoon Designs for sponsoring the pole award that we've had this season, and everyone else that helps make the National Sim Racing Association possible.
It was a fun night, and again, a big shout out to Jimbo for putting this season on, and everybody in the field for putting on a good show for us here at 3 Wide TV. Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, of course, you'll be able to catch all the other leagues that we broadcast here on 3 Wide TV. Even though tonight wraps up the Stay Tuned Sports Series, there's the OSCA that also races on Thursday nights right here on 3 Wide TV that you can tune into. They have a good field. They have some good hard racing, and they were on dirt tonight at the Charlotte dirt track. That looked to be a wild and wacky finish as well, with Cameron Rich getting the win in that race tonight. Spoiler alert if you were to go watch that, but that was a wild race. So you can continue watching 3 Wide TV action here on 3 Wide TV even after tonight. So make sure you support the channel. We do appreciate everyone who supports our channel each and every week and tuning on in. And all of our fans that have been watching, we thank you for all of the broadcasts. RC Planes, Stay Tuned Sports in the chat, thank you for all that you had to say here tonight. But for myself, Peter Short, and Andre Granbush, and all of the other 3 Wide TV folks, we want to thank you again. Stay safe and all that good stuff. We shall see ya.